Hi there folks, and welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. This is the redesigned 2025 Lincoln Navigator, and with it, Lincoln is really trying to step up into a new level of luxury with some wild features. This thing will drive for you, it'll massage you, it'll relax you, it'll even change the way it smells inside. Now it's also a massive SUV, so I'm curious how much fuel it burns. So in this video, we're gonna go on a long highway drive, we're gonna do a fuel economy test, and while we're out there, I'll tell you exactly how all of those wild features work, so make sure you stay tuned. Let's start with a walk around. So powering this Navigator is the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 EcoBoost engine. Here it makes 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque, and it's sent through a 10-speed automatic. The model we're looking at in this video is the Navigator Long Reserve. Now long means it's longer. This is the long wheelbase. You get more space out back for people and stuff. Talking about styling, I think this is definitely evolution, not revolution. It's not massively changed from the last gen Navigator, and that's okay. I think it's a handsome looking large SUV. Coming down the sides, you're gonna notice a nice set of 22-inch wheels there, although you can actually get 24s from the factory on this Navigator as well if you want them, but that looks sharp. And then yeah, the great Navigator badges, also kind of that understated styling I think really comes through with this vehicle, but that's just what I think. What do you think? Drop in the comments right now and let me know what you think of the styling here on the Navigator. Let's take a look at the second and third rows on this Navigator now, because like usual, this is one of the reasons you're gonna buy one of these huge SUVs, right? Is to haul a bunch of people with you. So I'll start with the baby seat situation. We do have our captain's chairs. I actually have my forward-facing seat installed on that side. So we have lower latch and top tethers here in the second row. In the back, you're getting 2 lower latch positions, 1 on either side. So nice to have a bit of flexibility there if you've got kiddos. Actually, before I climb in, I do want to show you guys what's down here. So there's a couple cup holders. That's easy enough to get to from a seated position, but there's also a massive storage in here. This is a little tricky to reach when you're actually sitting there, but it's huge. You can put all kinds of stuff back there. So yeah, the second row passengers are really getting a lot of space for their stuff. Now I'll climb in. So this is listed at 42 inches of second row legroom, and it's massive. I have so much space. I have just enough headroom. You know, headroom leaves a little bit to be desired, but I'm not touching, which is the important part. And like usual, this seat has many inches of adjustability. This is also a fully powered second row, as you can see, so you can move it forward, you can move it back, and that just means you could give those third row passengers more space if they needed it. Now, I get my own touchscreen down here, which has all kinds of controls that I want to show you. First of all, it comes to the seats. I touch seats. Let's first go to the chauffeur button, because what this allows me to do is adjust this seat in front of me. So if I'm sitting here and no one's up there, and I'm being chauffeured around, I want that seat right out of my way. So look, I can fold it right up there, and look at the amount of space that I can give myself. So that is pretty cool that you're able to do that from back here. Now parents, rest assured, if you have kids who are just gonna be bugging you and moving your seat all the time, you can lock this screen out. I had to do that in my week with the Navigator. Now another neat control is up here for the second row passengers. That controls the sunshade up above. So again, these are things you don't see in a lot of vehicles, but Lincoln was obviously thinking a lot of people are gonna buy this and they're gonna ride in this second row. So these passengers need all of these controls. Now back to the touchscreen, we go back into seats, and I have a fully massaging seat. Yes, second row massage. You get all these different options, which is pretty amazing. Also, second row heating and cooling on your seats right there, and then just adjust. So you can also adjust your seat using the screen here, and you have different lumbar, different areas for the lumbar, exactly how much, an amazing level of adjustment. And then yeah, I'll just say sitting here, the seat is incredibly comfortable. Even for me, it feels really nice, supports me well. It's not hugging me too much. The bolsters aren't too aggressive. It's just, yeah, a nice warm hug from the seat, so I appreciate that. Now we also have full climate controls, full audio controls, air quality controls, so you can actually see whether the vehicle is refreshing the air. So all kinds of amazing things back here for your second row passengers. You can change your ambient lighting color and the strength of your lighting. Yeah, quite a few controls, which is nice in the Lincoln. And then talking storage, a little bin here, cup holders here. This also opens and reveals a really deep bin, so a ridiculous amount of storage. Once again, in the name of, if the person who owns this vehicle is constantly back here in the second row, they want to have all of these amenities at hand, and they absolutely do. Now let's check out the third row. And when it comes time to climb in that third row, at the single touch of a button, the second row is going to slide forward and move up and out of the way, which is pretty slick, leaving a lot of space for me to climb in here. Now I'll slide over here to this side. This is listed at 43 inches of third row legroom, which is kind of ridiculous, and it's plenty. I fit in here okay. Of course, this seat could come back, so, you know, if this person was larger, they could cheat back, but I could give them an extra inch. No problem there. Headroom is actually fine as well. I'm close, but I'm not touching. So yeah, when it comes to third rows, this one is pretty dang spacious. And then just looking at amenities, I do get my own HVAC vent right up here in the roof. I have cup holders. I have a pair of USB-C ports over here. And then I also get power recline back here in my third row. So I do miss out on the, you know, massage and the heat, but at least I can still recline my third row, which is nice. So yeah, this is definitely one of the nicest third rows I've sat in a while, just in terms of space. This thing is absolutely massive. And now let's go see what the storage situation is like in the back. So this is also new for the Navigator this year, also came to the Ford Expedition. It is the split gate, so you get your hatch that goes up, but then this piece remains. In my head, one of the main uses here is just when you come home from the grocery store or with anything loose back here, you never have to worry about it falling out because you have your little tailgate here, and that is of course powered as well and opens like so. And this is where the Navigator the long wheelbase really shines, is in the cargo area, because even with that third row up, you're getting a massive amount of storage space. Now that is all powered back here as well. So if I do want to flip those down, you can do it from here. And so if you're not using that third row, once again, a crazy amount of storage in the back of this big SUV, which is appreciated. And this is one of the reasons why you're going to get this Navigator. In fact, I should mention now that the legroom on the spec sheet is listed as the exact same between the long wheelbase and the regular Navigator. All it says you're really gaining is back here in the storage space department, and you really notice that. Now, when it comes to features back here, you are getting this, which you can turn on and off your little spotlights up here in the hatch, which is nice. Those are for your seats. You're getting a couple D-rings right here so you can tie some stuff down. And then on the other side, there's 12-volt power, a 400-watt plug, and a pair of USB-C ports. So nice to have a bit of power at the back of your Navigator as well. One last thing I like is you can close these separately, but if you just hit the button up here, the bottom tailgate's going to close automatically. Just make it that much easier. Before we take off on our drive, folks, I have to show you all the technology in this Lincoln. I mean, first of all, up there, a 48-inch panoramic screen across the dash, complemented by an 11.1-inch touchscreen down below. And there's a bunch of things in here that you can't do while driving, but also, quite frankly, I don't want to be messing with this stuff too much while I'm driving because it can be pretty distracting because there's so much going on with this technology. So first I will show you this button to rearrange your widgets up there. So on the right side of the screen, you get those 3 different boxes, and down here it's a drag and drop. So I can put my compass up there, I can put my fuel economy there, put my media over here, I can leave my weather up there. If I want my tire pressure monitoring, I can throw it up there. So fully customizable what information is being delivered to you at any one time. And that is nice. So yeah, as the driver and the passenger, you can be looking at the things that are relevant to you. Now, I will show you some of the things you can only access while you're parked. First of all, we'll go down here to the bottom and turn on the car fireplace. So if you're just hanging out in your car and you want some nice ambiance, there's a little fireplace. I do wish that came up to the big screen, but you just wait because some of these things do come up to the big screen. So we'll go back into our apps. The next thing I'll show you is games. Yes, there are games you can play here. You can download games, but it comes with one game built in, Asphalt Nitro, and you can race your Ford Mustang here around New Zealand. Now you can use the touchscreen to play this game, but you can also get a remote controller. So if you want to be sitting here well parked and gaming, you can do that, which is pretty wild. And to me, it actually does seem like the next natural step. In a lot of these cars, we have all these amazing screens. They have the technology to run it. Why not give me the chance to play some games? So let's see how I can do here. I got to win my race. And nitro. And drift. I've been having fun with this. And of course, my kids love it. Anyone who's got kids, yeah, they're going to appreciate this because when you're stopped somewhere, you can just turn the games on. All right, Nitro, now I want to quit race and I want to get out of this. And rest assured, everybody, if I put my foot on the brake and I shift into reverse, right away it says you cannot use this while you're driving. So we can close that app. Pretty wild that there's games here. Now, next up is maybe the wildest feature, I think. It's the rejuvenate mode. So get ready for this. This is the waterfall meditation. Ooh, the elements. I feel like I have to speak quieter and calmer now. Ooh, Aurora, that's for me right there. So let's do the 5-minute Aurora Borealis rejuvenate mode. Your engine runs. Only use the vehicle outside. Driver's seat will move. Check that we're clear. All right, we're good. Oh, it's reclining me. Oh, and now the massage has started. Pretty wild. And again, I love that it does use that full 48-inch screen up there. You might as well take advantage. Show me those beautiful northern lights. I guess the idea is if you have 5 minutes of time and you're sitting somewhere in a parking lot and you just need to relax, you know, at the touch of one button, here we are. Oh, it's also changing the digital scent. Yes, this thing can change the way it smells, so suddenly it smells a little different in here too. And that's really what these brands are working towards, sort of a holistic approach. So it's not just what's on the screen, it's also the way I feel in the seat. It's what I'm smelling. It adjusted the air conditioning as well, so I can feel the air blowing on me. Absolutely wild what these brands are doing these days. And as much as I'd like to sit here for another 5 minutes, ain't nobody got time for that. That's my problem. I'm in too much of a rush. I don't think I could ever be patient enough to sit there and get relaxed. But yes, pretty wild, these rejuvenate modes, which of course can only also be used when you're sitting here in park. But look how just crystal clear that display is, man. I really appreciate that. So yeah, some wild features here inside the Lincoln Navigator. And it is at this point in the video, I do feel compelled to tell you that this Navigator costs $137,000 here in Canada. So this is not a cheap vehicle. This is in fact a very expensive luxury vehicle. So I kind of expect it to have some amazing features like that, but it does live up to that expectation. If I drop that much money, I want cool stuff like rejuvenate mode, and the Navigator is absolutely delivering it. Now let's go for a drive. We'll talk about all the features and how they work while we're actually on the move, and then I'll let you know about the fuel economy. Okay, now we're all filled up with fuel. Time to set off on our drive. So first of all, we're going to go ahead and reset our fuel economy. So we go down here to reset. That'll reset that one. And then I can also take my trip 1. I can drag it up here so that shows up on the screen. And then we can go ahead into trip 1. We can also reset it. And bam. So now we got our fuel economy zeroed out and our trip zeroed out. We are good to go. So my plan today is to do 100 kilometers. And I like to do mixed driving, so a bit of highway, a bit on some secondary highway and city streets. But we're gonna start on the highway because I want to talk about Blue Cruise, hands-free driving, and how that works. So right now, to the highway, and we'll do a little Blue Cruise demo. And now, folks, here we are on the highway, and yes, we are in stop and go traffic. We're heading southbound on Highway 400. This is what we call cottage country traffic here in Toronto. It's everybody coming from up north where they spent the weekend and they're heading back into the city. So we are stuck in traffic, but this is actually a great chance to use Blue Cruise. Yes, I am hands-free right now, and talk about, how it performs in heavy traffic, because everyone's going to have their own opinions on this, but in my opinion, this is actually one of the best uses for this technology, because this is the kind of driving that really is arduous, that really sucks when you're just sitting in stop and go traffic and you're constantly on and off the brake and there's no real smooth cruising going on. This is when I personally would be more inclined to use Blue Cruise, is when I'm sitting in traffic like this. So we're going to cruise along here and see how it works. So far, yeah, it's been working quite well. It sees the lines. It's fairly smooth on the braking and the accelerating, and I like to see that. I've had experiences with some systems where they brake really aggressively to maintain the gap. Like right now, the guy in front of me is slowing, and yeah, it was on the brakes, but it does close that distance, and that's what I like to see. I can set the distance, how far back I want to follow, but I still want the vehicle to use that little bit of a cushion rather than slamming on the brakes to maintain that distance. Sort of use it to allow the vehicle to be smooth like I would do, a human driver. So now I'm signaling left. It does have auto lane change, but in this case, in heavy traffic, it wasn't going to go quick enough, and the guy was coming up on me. So this is another thing. The computer still doesn't have context. I could have left my signal on, and if that guy felt like I was changing lanes too slowly, he might decide he wants to go by me anyways, and then the computer's going to freak out and not make the lane change. So this is one of those interesting things too, where yes, the computers are pretty dang good at driving themselves, but they still don't have the context of a human driver. So it is still important to pay attention, and that's what I really want to dive into right now, because these systems, it is still the driver at fault. If this Lincoln gets into an accident, if it crashes, if it steers out of the lane, if it does something silly, it's on me. It is not on Lincoln whatsoever. So we've arrived at this weird place where the vehicle can drive itself, but it's still my responsibility to monitor it. Now, in that vein, it's also monitoring me. So it's paying attention to my eyes. It's also paying attention to my head direction. So if I do look away for a long period of time, it's going to get mad at me. So I want to run a couple of tests in that vein. And actually here in stop and go traffic, it's probably the safest way to do it because we're not moving at speed. And I do have cameraman Liam in the passenger seat. He is my eyeballs. He's going to yell at me if something's going bad and I need to react to it. So the first thing I want to do is the very simple test of, I'm going to look out my side window and see how long it takes to get mad at me. Ready? Let's do it. So I'm just looking at the field over there. It's a beautiful field. Oh my gosh, what a nice barn. And this happens to people, right? You can get distracted by what's out the window. I'm actually surprised it hasn't gotten mad yet, to be honest. Oh, and there it is. Watch the road. So there you go. That gives you a sense for sort of how long you can straight up look away before it's going to remind you to watch the road. Now, the next test I want to do is the more interesting test, which is I'm wearing sunglasses. Now, Blue Cruise is designed to work with sunglasses. It's using infrared to watch my eyeballs, but I have had experience in the past where when a driver closed their eyes with sunglasses with one of these systems, it didn't realize that the driver's eyes were closed, and it never said, hey, you need to grab the wheel. So we're going to try this out right now. Once again, cameraman Liam is focused on the road, so we're being as safe as we can be, and I am absolutely ready to react if I have to. My hands are here, my feet are ready. So here we go. I'm going to close my eyes starting now. Eyes are closed. And I'm just curious to, oh, watch the road. It was on top of it there, so it actually saw through my sunglasses, as it should. That's exactly how the system is designed to work. Now, when I've had that happen in the past, I guess it's probably been different sunglasses, and that probably makes a difference too, sort of how deeply polarized they are and how tinted they are. But yeah, I'm very happy to see that this Lincoln was on top of it, because you don't want to be able to fool the system. People are always looking for ways to kind of cheat the system. And so if you knew you could wear sunglasses and take a nap, I'm sure somebody would take advantage of that. I'm just going to do it one more time here just to see if we replicate the results. Ready? And closing my eyes now. Good. That was actually quicker than when I was looking out the side window. So kudos to the Lincoln. The monitors worked correctly here today, and that's what has to happen. It has to keep reminding you, hey, I'm driving for you, but you are responsible. You have to pay attention. So I guess what this all comes back around to say is, if I owned this Lincoln in stop and go, I'm happy to use Blue Cruise. Let it handle this. Once we're moving at speed in heavy traffic, I feel more inclined to take over because of what I mentioned earlier. I'm just more aware of what's going on around me. I can predict other drivers' actions a lot better than the computer can, because I've been driving for, over 2 decades now. So I know how people act in traffic, and that's important too. But yes, Blue Cruise is working well, and the monitors, they did their job. All right, everybody, and now we're almost done our drive. We're actually just over 100 kilometers now, and we're just about back at the same gas station. Now, the majority of the drive has been on the highway, although we've done some secondary highways and a bit of traffic today too. So a decent mixed case. I'd say about 70% highway driving and the rest on side highways and side roads. So let me give you the short strokes on driving this Navigator. This thing is extremely comfortable. It has a plush ride. Definitely has that big kind of floaty boat SUV ride, but that lends itself to the luxury because, yeah, it's absolutely comfortable here. It's not a tight handling machine. You can put it into sport mode. There are drive modes here, and that does help a little bit. But yes, most of all, what I expect from this thing is that it's a big, comfortable cruiser on a road trip, and that's exactly what it feels like it would just eat up the miles. And a lot of that has to do with the way it drives, but also has to do with the comfort in here and the fact that this seat is massaging me. The amount of adjustment you have on your seat is pretty incredible. I have leg bolsters down here, thigh bolsters, and you can individually adjust them. So if your right leg happens to be a little longer than your left, you can make sure it's all going to work out for your specific body type. So that is pretty cool too. I love the adjustability. The bolsters too have a lot of different settings. You can move them in and out and blow them up. So yes, the seats here really do stand out. Another thing that stands out, the steering wheel. This is a fully redesigned steering wheel this year. They rounded it off and sort of went a flat top and a flat bottom, or flat-ish. The whole idea was so that you could see over the top of the wheel and see your screen up there. I said this in the Expedition video, because this is the same as in the Ford Expedition. I don't really mind it. I don't necessarily have a positive or negative opinion. It's just different, so there's no doubt it will take you a minute to get used to. The first thing you notice is that when you're trying to let the wheel slip through your hands to kind of come back to center, it kind of gets caught on the corners, but you can just adjust and sort of take your hands off a little bit more and allow it to do its thing. So yeah, to me, it's not really a bad thing. I would just say, for a prospective owner, it's gonna be different, and it's gonna take you some time to get some new muscle memory into your hands and arms to get used to the shape of this steering wheel. Now, there's another thing that Lincoln has done here, and a lot of other luxury brands are doing this too, and that is taking away more physical controls in favor of controls in the screens and controls on the steering wheel. So for instance, here in this Lincoln, I have one button here on my right touchpad. If I touch it, it brings up my adjustment screen. And within there, I can adjust the steering wheel, I can adjust the mirrors, and I can adjust my pedals down there, all using these touch-sensitive buttons. Now, the mirrors is interesting because in the Expedition, they left that on physical switches. Here in the Lincoln, they've gone all in the wheel. And this one I don't love. The mirrors is something you want to adjust quickly sometimes, and here it's like a two-touch process. And I've noticed sometimes I'm trying to go left or right and I end up in the top corner, which does nothing. So I really do have to take my eyes off the road, pay attention to where my finger is on this touchpad. I just find it more distracting. And for something like your mirrors, which you should be able to get to quickly, it just shouldn't be more distracting. So yeah, that's one thing I don't like. There's another one I don't like here. That is the vents, the air vents here. Yeah, look, I can't adjust them. They're fixed. That's because it's down here on the screen. So if this is blowing on my face and I want to move it, I got to go down here, touch my HVAC button, look at which vent I need, and then move this around. And you're not moving this blindly. I need to look down and see where it's going. I absolutely believe that a lot of these things have made these vehicles more distracting. If the vent was here and I could physically move it, I could keep my eyes on the road, move that vent around, and yeah, it would be easy. So I guess on the one hand, the argument you have, I'm spending, nearly 140 grand. I want my vehicle to do everything for me and make it easy. And on the other hand, it's like, yeah, maybe it's easier, but it's more distracting. And the last thing we need these days in our vehicles are more distractions. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these switches and stuff going away. You could also argue it makes for a cleaner look because there's less buttons and dials and switches around. But to me, I would rather have a busier look, but it be a safer vehicle. And that's not exactly what Lincoln thought. Now, Lincoln's not the only brand doing this. Rivian has the powered vents. Lots of other brands are getting rid of switches in favor of putting it in the screen. So I'm not just going after Lincoln here, but this is the trend. This is what we're moving into. The more luxurious and expensive the vehicle, the more things move into the digital age and with digital controls. And now, folks, we're back at the gas station. Same gas station we filled up at earlier. And I can tell you, we did 106.7 kilometers, and we managed 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which actually feels pretty dang good for such a big SUV. Now, I will go into the settings here, and I'll see how quickly I can change over my units. Let's see where we can find units. Not in vehicle system. Units, measurement, MPG. So for the US, folks, you can see that is 20.8 miles per gallon over 66.2 miles. And according to the EPA, this thing is rated at 17 miles per gallon combined and 22 on the highway and 15 in the city. So we didn't quite hit that 22 highway number, but yeah, 20.8 feels pretty dang good for a mixed driving case. However, now we're gonna go fill up and then we'll quickly do the math ourselves and just see if that matches up with what the computer said. Just so you guys know, when we do this, we use the 2-click method. It's the same thing I did when I filled up. It's an attempt to keep things scientific here. So I go until the fuel nozzle clicks off once, I wait 30 seconds, and then I'll go again until the second click, and that's the number we'll use. No, these things are never perfect, but still, it's always interesting to see how the real math that we're gonna do kind of lines up with the trip computer. And generally I find, yeah, they're kind of close to each other. Never bang on, but kind of close. So yeah, we give it a few more seconds here. Make sure all that fuel's settled. And one more time until the second click. And there it is. Now we'll go figure it out. So folks, got my receipt here. I can do the math myself. So I know we did 106.7 kilometers, and I know that we put in 9.040 liters of fuel. So I take that 9.040 divided by our distance, multiply it by 100, and I end up with 8.47. So you can call it 8.5 liters per 100. So yeah, actually doing the math ourselves, this suggests that the Lincoln was significantly more fuel efficient than what the computer said. Now, as I was saying outside, this is not scientific, I recognize that, but I like to think that the real number is probably somewhere maybe between the computer and my number. So yeah, 10 liters per 100, something like that. And I'll just remind you, mostly highway driving, sure, but I was not trying to get great fuel economy. I was averaging between 110 and 120 kilometers an hour the entire time. There was a bunch of stop and go traffic. So yeah, I gotta say overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with that fuel economy when you consider we're in a massive SUV that has so much dang horsepower. Nice job on that one, Lincoln. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this one, and I gotta tell you, if you're looking for a big luxury SUV full of amazing luxury features that can also haul a bunch of people and stuff, the Navigator is a solid choice. And with that fuel economy, it's actually not gonna break the bank at the pump either, so I appreciate that. And now, of course, I need to hear from you. So drop in the comments, let me know what you think of this Lincoln and everything you've seen in this video. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join, become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel and see what we're testing next. See ya.